Okay. Approval of minutes and claims. Minutes, we have them from April 12th and March 19th.
I'm good.
Motion.
Motion to approve the, I'll motion to approve the claims. And then
I'll second.
Second. Roll call.
Tim,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Kevin,
yes.
First item on the agenda, a contract award for the jail AC units. We accept the DLZ's recommendation to award the work to Cook Mechanical and award the base bid scope of work in the amount of $949,400. So congratulations to Cook and thank you to DLZ and thank you to Ron. I mean, he's worked this issue for over a year.
Is Cook here?
But good.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, Ron's worked that for over a year. Started different phases. And we finally got it done. So kudos to Ron and thanks to DLC and congratulations to Cook.
I think it's closer to 2 years.
2 years.
And it was like 300,000 difference
Yes.
back
When we started.
than when we waited.
Okay. All right. So we have a next agenda item.
What you done?
We have to make a motion on that, sir.
Sorry, got to have the game tonight.
Yes.
Okay. Motion. Accept the bid award of $949,400.
You want me to put man alligator?
I think you want to let you run it tonight.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid recommendation of DLZ for Coke for the $949,000 and 500, I believe.
400.
400.
I'll second that.
Roll
Any
call.
discussion?
Yeah.
Anybody,
sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Any discussion, comments?
anybody want to chime in from the audience or anything? I don't think so.
Okay.
Moving on.
Tim,
Yep. Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
All right. Moving on. We've got several projects that requires a public announcement. We've got a list here. Kevin can kind of give us a summary on each of those.
Yeah, so there's going to be basically opportunities going out, on these projects vary from anywhere from 10 to over $50,000. One of them is basically the domestic water heater that's in the law enforcement center is needing a replacement. So that's going to be put out and looked at. We have basically already received bids and reviewing those with regards to seal coating all the government facilities, parking lots. That's proceeding forth. We basically are looking at or going through and doing an HVAC replacement and remediation of the health department proposal and looking at bids and closing out the quotes on that. We are looking at or have an opportunity for HVAC remediation of the highway and solid waste building as far as those systems needing to be replaced and dealing with some issues. And then obviously the thing that's included and has been listed, I think is in the gold bond, right? The courthouse move for the corrections facility.
Yeah, that really shouldn't be that much. I
Yeah.
mean, that should be under the 50,000 by quite a bit.
Right.
We just need to move on it.
Right. So we're going to basically look at getting that work started and put out the bid.
But now on the highway department and the health department, I believe they have their own monies. That's not co-bond money.
It is not go bond money. So the highway department and the solid waste department is that's our relationship with our interlocal agreement there. So the solid waste is picking up 54% of whatever comes in on the 3 quotes that we get. And then the health department is basically already gone before the council and gotten approval to appropriate the funds based on their highest bid. They're still seeking one additional quote and we'll go through that once we get that because it's over the 50,000. And then it'll have to come before us to be approved.
Did you?
All right. Now we don't need to vote on that, right? We just need to.
No, this is just an announcement for public.
Okay.
When we say domestic water heater, that is like a 250-gallon tank. And we're looking at upwards of $60-some thousand for that heater. I know it sounds unreal, but that's the world we're in right now. We're also looking at possibly doing a more modern version with more efficient water heaters, possibly save some money. Nobody, I don't know, but not very many people have been in that jail, but the jail's our most expensive building. It's unreal, the mechanics in that building. I guess that's all I got.
Okay, thanks, Ron. All right, next agenda item is bid opening for Bridge 111 Country Club Road. Eric, I guess we had 7 bids on that.
It looks like it, yeah.
Thanks in advance to all the bidders.
So this would be for our community crossings project that we were awarded, so these are the bids for that. So this one's from BD Construction. Bear with me, I only gotta find it. Okay, it looks like total installation bid, $1,126,364. HIS Constructors. It looks like total bid, $878,654. RL Buxton Excavating. $877,444. Thanks for putting that on top. Force Construction Company. $1,022,164.20. Looks like a total bid on that.
Well, let's say that again, Eric.
Come on, Kevin. $1,022,164.20.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Duncan Robertson. $926,432.10. B&B Paving. $1,352,000. And this is Milestone Contractors. $1,085,000. These will all be reviewed. Our consultants will help us double check everything and we'll get back to you with the recommendation.
Okay, then we roll that over to legal, they take a shot at it and call, then we'll make the selection next meeting.
Yep.
Okay, so again, thanks to all the bidders, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Eric?
Yes.
I'm sure you're aware that before we start that project, we will probably have to have our own insurance policy on that.
I'm sure we'll follow all the requirements on it.
Yeah, we have to have it before they start.
Okay,
The time frame,
okay,
because they can't start it, after they start it, we can't get it.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Eric, since you're on a roll, you want to hit your highway report?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, what can I say? Storm cleanup. There's really not much updates than storm cleanup.
Oh, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
I mean, there's obviously a lot of things that are behind us that, you know, people aren't seeing that are in the office, but, you know, we've been out, you know, basically cleaning up after all these storms. So, you know, once again, I got our quarterly report for our 4-year bridge contract submitted. You know, we got to submit that every quarter, so that's been done. So we don't lose any funds. You know, we are looking at, I've got on here some equipment. We know one of our excavators is going back at the end of the year, so we've got to be proactive and try to figure out what our plan is to replace it. So we're looking at alternative things. Kevin was down. We did a demo with a lightning loader, which is basically a grapple truck. Not to replace the excavator with that, but we're also looking at that for, you know, just productivity to get around the county faster, pick up trees. We could have used it during the storm quite a bit. It would have been a lot faster than hauling a trailer and a big mini excavator around, having multiple guys, where we could have done something with 2 guys and 1 piece of equipment a lot quicker. So we're looking at that. We're getting estimates and bids. I've got some, but we'll go over them later. I'm waiting on a couple more. So we just need to figure out if we want to refurb unit or if we want to lease or rent a new one, you know, with the option for $1 at the end of the contract.
So remind me again, what is the buyout price on the excavator that we have right now?
If we want to keep it, it's around $86,000 in December that we have to pay for
And
it.
how long was that lease?
5 years.
Okay.
So we paid our last payment last December, which our payment was, they're like $36,000 a year. So at the end of the day, I mean, I think if we gave 86,000 for it, I don't think if we went to trade it in, they'd give us 86,000 in trade. I don't think it's a good idea to buy it out. We have another one. It's an older one. We spent a lot of money on it, repairing it because it had sat for a couple of years, broke. So it has been working and we have used it quite a bit lately. So it'd be nice to have it as a backup to whatever we replace the other one with. Cause since we own it, we don't own anything on it.
Okay.
So we're looking at options.
Just 2 cents on that. It's only a 5-year-old machine. I think at 80-some thousand is probably a deal.
Yeah, come down and check her out and we can talk about it for sure. I'm open to suggestions. You're more than welcome down at the.
If I, quick research that I did, and didn't have the exact model. I was just going by view picture. I was wanting to think that thing's about $500,000 new. Is that close to being right?
No, it's not quite that much, no. It's more in the $300,000 range.
Yeah, you gotta have the right one.
So it's a 318.
We have a while to think about that, right?
We do, but if you gotta think about it, whatever you replace it with, you know, like if we go with say a hydro dig, you can't call JCB and say, okay, we're ready for a hydro dig and they bring it down. You know, they gotta build it. You know, we need certain things on our machine that they don't just put on them, you know, straight. So there's a few things we'd have to add, you know, a thumb. So you can't just call and pick it up in a couple weeks. It takes a while to go through. So
Kind of like the dump truck.
pretty much, yep.
It took us 2 years to get, was it 2 years, Julia, or more, to get 2 dump trucks? A little over 2 years.
So our new dump truck should be in, I think, the end of this month. And then they'll bring it down, we'll sign papers on it, we'll take care of it, and then they'll take it back. And then they'll get it ready for the body in August. And then our other one that we kept, we'll go back up there as well to get the parts swapped off.
Stripped off.
Yep. Yeah, what we haven't already took off and used.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, but we do, I mean, yeah, you think the end of the year, we've got enough time, but if we don't plan ahead and figure out what we're doing, then, you know, we run across another bad winter, bad storms, and we need that equipment. So, but
But you haven't decided on the replacement one yet.
not 100%, but we've got a pretty good idea just because of the size machine that we're looking for. We've got a pretty good idea of what we're gonna go with, and they should be, this month, they're finishing building hydro dig. They're gonna bring it down and let us demo it. Now, it's not the exact one that we would order, because it doesn't have thumb and stuff, but we'll at least get to see the size, compare it, drive it on the road. You know, see if it'll work for us.
So you were actually looking at trying to go a little bit lighter on the road too, right?
Correct. The excavator we've got is a little over 40,000 pounds. You get out on the soft ground and it tears the road edges up. So the machine that we're looking at is about 24,000 pounds. So it's a little more versatile, easier to operate, a little better to move around.
For the people that don't know what a thumb is, you got just a dig bucket, it's a hydraulic. I can reach out and literally grab something with it. Pick it up, got a lot more control, limbs, trees, logs, whatever.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really, still waiting, hopefully the consultants that we've been talking with next week, we'll start seeing some stuff come in for the bridge on Mount Liberty, Bridge 91. I mean, the plan is to get this project started, pick a consultant, get going with the design and everything. So second round of CCMG next year, we can apply for this bridge.
All right, so we just had a conversation with Dan Rains out of Knobloch Sewer District. Remember you had that line that was ruptured or that was damaged?
Yeah, I heard they were actually considering doing away with that on the bridge and yeah, they're gonna do a grinder pump.
They're gonna do something about it, so maybe reach out to him and see.
Yeah, well, we will.
Okay.
That'll all be, I mean, that's all gonna be included anyway and part of that, right away and utility coordination. So, but yeah, that'll all be addressed. It would benefit us if they do take it off.
The bridge that you're talking about on Mount Liberty, this is the one that's out there by the Pentecostal church.
Correct. First one off of 46.
Yeah, it definitely needs something done there.
It does. I think they recommended, early in 24 that it be rehabbed or redone, so. And that's a permitting nightmare with the flooding and then, of course, with all the utilities attached to it and the power overhead. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one.
Okay. And so Stalmeron Road was opened, when you got the culvert back in there and
It was back in the next week.
okay,
So that road had two sections of pipe. One section was 100 feet off the road and the other section was maybe over 500 feet off the road. That's how much the water pushed those pipes off the road. They were able to trek through the woods and get it picked up with a mini excavator, bring it back, and we reset it. The one on Hoover, it's back going, it's covered. We're gonna let it pack for a little bit and then we're gonna have asphalt done. So that one we put back in a little better. We dug a footer, we anchored it, we ran rebar around it, blocked it in. So hopefully next time, if that ever happens, it won't at least won't pull the culvert out of the road. It may tear the road up, but the culvert shouldn't move. So I would much rather put asphalt back than replace the whole culvert again. So, but that's back up and going. It was maybe down a week, week and 2 days. We had it going again. So.
Another aspect of the storm is Chad Jenkins, our EM director. He's coordinating the collecting all the costs we have associated with the storm. So we could have a possibility of getting reimbursed from FEMA and from the state for some of our costs. And Eric and his team came up with about $200,000 of reimbursable expenses, hopefully.
Yeah, 75% of that.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're like 228 right now, and that's a rough estimate, just because we had to get those numbers in before, today or tomorrow. Obviously FEMA will come and put a fine tooth on it, but, I think we're in good shape. We've got all of our documents. We've got everything tracked. So it's just a matter of putting it on paper and putting it in our spreadsheets. So we got a good chance of getting a lot of money back, which is needed for our overtime, and our equipment that we used in maintenance.
And that's included every department's involved in that storm. Damage a lot of fire departments, police departments, anything we had to do to cover our expenses as a result of the storm, we might get some compensation.
Yeah.
From government. So that's a good thing. Good work and all that.
Well, I think the thing about that too is that we actually not seeing very many emergencies or disaster declared, but one of the big reasons for that is one, the flooding that we did have, although it's not been as bad as some, but looking at the surrounding, we needed to do that in order to be able to participate in that.
Yeah, and we got lucky. The culverts that got pushed out of the ground were reusable, other than one we replaced new, but it was kind of a bad one, to begin with, borderline. So for the most part, it was just putting things back together. I mean, we do have a cost obviously with, our gravel roads. It's just a lot of equipment cost, when you're using that equipment daily, you're going through 50 to 70 gallons of diesel fuel on each thing. It just costs a lot of money.
And I've got two kudos to you and Trent Sandra on your Facebook page. I get a lot of positive comments on the Facebook page. So I'm glad you guys post on that, kind of share your success and the hard work that you did and the contributions. And I get nothing but positive feedback. It's a great thing to explain to people what you do and the value that you add to people's quality of life, really.
Yeah.
So thank you both for that.
And I thank them out there for their help with that and their support. And it's been a blessing.
It's been really effective. Let me cover on the commissioner admin. Our admin assistant's been on leave, and so it's kind of interesting. We've been abandoned our days, not that I'm counting, 104 days. It's been kind of unique. We had two major weather events. We've had a lot of new building projects, and you're seeing the build projects, and we had kind of a learning curve. And so with the absence of that full-time support, we're discovering even more information and gaining knowledge on the operations of the county, which is pretty interesting. We're going through give you a quick update. We're going through a couple major changes in policies. Personnel is one, and the other is just finance. And on the personnel side, we're restructuring the salary system that we have. We've got like 35 pay grades, and we're trying to bring those down and kind of tier it. And I worked in the federal system. We had 15 pay grades. 15. It was that way for about, 70 years. And we've got 35 here and a lot of different add-ons. So we're trying to streamline that. But to streamline that, you've got to redo all the job descriptions that we have in the county. And there were about 101, I think, when I counted. And so that's a big deal. And with the job descriptions, you got to include classifications. The classifications link to salaries. And the classifications give you a range of those salaries. So not only are we redoing the descriptions, updating those, but they're adding the classifications, tying those to salaries. So what? It's pretty important. So we've got 101 of these, and when it comes to job descriptions, we've got to pass an ordinance to accept the job descriptions. And then what we found is kind of a miscommunication between the consultants and us. And so we put that on pause, and we'll go out to the departments and have a chance that everybody had a chance to review their job descriptions. Because I think in the past we've talked about, we gave changes and we didn't quite sure if they made it in. So we're going to make sure this time around we're synced between what the consultants think we've reviewed and then what the departments are reviewing. So you guys are all on track, because those end up in a salary table that end up in the budget. So when you talk about job descriptions from a county perspective, the commissioners approve job descriptions, the council approves the salary associated with the job descriptions, and the auditor has to convert that information into a salary ordinance that ties into the budget, which is the majority of our expenses for the county. So if you don't get that right, we're always chasing the status on our different funds and robbing Peter to pay Paul or whatever. So we're trying to fix that and streamline it. And it's kind of fun. It's like everybody's kind of working together. We see the need, we see the gap, we all identify we have a problem and we're working to fix it. And so we're looking maybe 6 to 9 months, and then we'll have a better system on that one, and then we'll sustain that. We'll have the SOPs to do that. And I think we're all committed to do that because we don't like the chaos we've got to deal with on a basis. So that's a big deal. On the personnel side, we went through and did a review and needed to do an audit on how we calculated overtime. So we're going through the records on that one, going to 2 years, and then we'll have to basically adjust how we calculate overtime for people for the past 2 years. And then that led to an additional review on the classification we have for jobs. We have classifications include the exempt, the non-exempt, the excluded, and then we have part-time, full-time, all that associated with different benefit packages. So you've got to get that right. So we're doing a review, an external consultant, really, WIS is doing a review on that one. And we're also doing another review, an external review on just our personnel policies, how well we execute, our policy manual. And then finally, on the policy manual, once you do that, we have the job descriptions, we have the salary schedules, we have the salary ordinance. All that is linked into our personnel policy handbook. And so everything we do needs to be documented in that. And so we found gaps in that one. We've had different revisions. Some revisions made it, some didn't. Some of the language wasn't clear. Some of it was. Different departments did different things, maybe working on different versions. So an active discovery that everybody participated in. We've had 2 department meetings. We're going to have another one on the 24th, and we'll work through that one. So a lot going on. So that links us to the finance reports. I mentioned in January, I kind of did a review, and we all agreed that kind of a train wreck from a financial budgeting planning perspective. So we're addressing that. We have a finance committee. There's 3 council members and then myself and then our consultant, Reedy. We generally meet once a month. We didn't meet this month. For the past 2 months, we've worked on, I gave you in January where we're at. And then the next 2 months, we refined what that plan might look like and what we want in there. And then we suspended this meeting to fix the salary part, because we can't go forward with the projections on the 2025 budget until we get a handle on the salaries and we get the reviews from the audits on pay and the different personnel policies. So we're looking to have that done within the next few weeks or few days. And then next month, I'll give you an update on where we're at on the finances. I'll give you an update on the new plan going forward and how we're going to manage our money and project what those revenues will be. And the projections right now are looking pretty optimistic, but call me the cynic. I'll wait until we get the numbers in.
Me too.
And then kind of balance those out. And then we'll have a pretty good run on how we're doing on our personnel policy transformation on some of the things we're doing there. So a lot going on. It's been a fast 100 days or more. It's been fun working. I do a lot of good teamwork and a lot of things happening. So appreciate the support of all the departments and all you folks and really the citizens out there, especially when it came to the stormwater, cooperating with the different announcements we had on that. So thanks all to that. That wraps up that part. Legal, Mike, and then we'll turn it over to questions. We'll get through legal.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Mike, anything for you?
Nothing to really add. I'll just kind of just as a quick foreshadowing, Senate Bill 1, which was the bill that the General Assembly passed and the governor signed yesterday on property taxes and the changes that's going to impact counties, cities, towns, and the income that you guys will be receiving and the way the citizens will be taxed. That's something that we'll be talking about quite a bit over the next year. Getting ready for 2026. So that's something that we may want to consider giving updates to the citizens, and I'm happy to do so over the next few months.
Great, Mike, we appreciate that.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
is this the bill that Mike Braun was pushing and looks like he got it? Yeah.
Yes and no. He was pushing property tax reform. It's not the initial bill that was introduced back in January. It's also not the bill that the Senate had amended a couple of months ago. It's kind of been created into this whole new form that's kind of came into shape in the last 2 weeks. So it is going to have property tax relief. There will also be some capabilities of a local income tax starting in 2028 for counties to increase theirs and then cities and towns to implement a new one. So it's definitely a whole different method. It's a huge reform.
So you've been following that pretty close. That's gonna put a strain on county, funding all of their projects and employees and.
So it's, and I wouldn't say the numbers are completely final right now, but the state themselves have released a document highlighting what they expect the differences to be in income for all the counties, all 92 counties. So this factors in the changes in property taxes for the homesteads, for farms, for the business personal property tax relief, and also factors in the upcoming lits that can be implemented. And Brown County is expected in 2026 to lose $742,000, and then 2027 to lose $905,000, and then 2028 to kind of break even, start getting that, seeing that money from the lits come back. So things will be tight.
I just a good part. That's really what I wanted to know. How much it's gonna affect us. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Okay, questions, audience?
To address the last two things that you were talking about, Tim, are we working on a new handbook for 2025?
We're updating the handbook.
Okay, but right now we're going by the 2024,
Correct.
correct? Okay. The other thing is, oh, sorry, my name's Christina McElroy, live and work here in the county. What we just covered is kind of scary. I know a couple of weeks ago, one of the commissioners said that I'd asked a question and they said I don't work for the county. But you know, I'm here, because I live and work in this county and I'm concerned. Not everybody here lives in the county. But I do. With that said, Tim, I've got to say, addressing last time I was here, Hardin Holler, the hole in Hardin Holler has been fixed. Thank you very much. I was there, the end of last week and saw that the hole was no longer there. So I appreciate that getting addressed. Sorry, I had to bring that to your attention. It's kind of sad that that location's only 4 minutes from the highway department, but I was wanting to let you know about it. But that's okay. I don't live there, but I do drive down that road and all kinds of roads in Brown County. But the other thing I wanted to address is I keep hearing you talk about the highway department's Facebook page and so much great feedback. And I just want to make you aware of something recently that was posted on there that concerned me. Simply because I don't care what people do for a living, safety is paramount. It's number one. I don't even like open-toed shoes in office. When you drop a printer on it and break a toe, there you go. But if you're not aware, there was a man, 59 years old, in an adjoining county, Mooresville, Morgan County, that during this last flooding, he was cleaning out his own culvert. It sucked him under and he's dead. Now, we don't know if that man was planning on walking his daughter down the aisle, whether he was expecting a grandchild, but I looked on the Brown County Highway Department's page and I see we're getting calls about culverts. If you can clean them out yourself, it would help us tremendously. That's a problem for me. Putting that out there is a problem for me. And this is me telling you, Tim, this is a negative feedback on the Facebook page. I didn't like seeing that because I care about the citizens in this county. And I don't ever want to see someone thinking in the midst of what you declared a disaster, they're trying to clean out their own culvert and they're not walking their kid down the aisle or bringing their grandbaby into this world. Okay. So just wanted to tell you as a citizen, it's not all positive feedback. I hope you guys pay attention to each and every one of those posts and know that the citizens of this county are reading that. And I don't want anyone to lose their life because of something like that being said. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Parsons.
Quick one.
Sure.
Yeah, Dwayne Parsons, county resident. I guess this question will go to Tim, then to Eric. For rankings upon storms, I know 10, 12, 15 years ago, we had the bad one out here that knocked out the apartments and all. How does this fall in the rankings? Because I live up on high country and we don't see that. So would this be, where would we rank this storm? About
Well, I mean, this is, obviously I'm still a little new here, but talking with people that work here, there was roads in this last rain that were flooded that they hadn't ever seen water on top of. So I don't know where it ranks, but I know it was, you know,
Up there,
it was up there. Yeah, because it was so fast. I mean, the water did kind of recede fast, but the initial damage happened really quick as far as flooding. I don't know about the wind and the, you know,
it would definitely be up in the,
it was
Upper
for
few.
the flooding and stuff. Yes, it was up there,
okay.
but I don't know where it would rank at in years past.
I mean, the previous flood we had, I think we got, what, 11 inches in a short period of time, and this will spread out in 3 or 4 days. So that's a little different, but we still got the same volume of rain and probably a little more flooding, from what I recall.
It ranks
2008,
in
2004.
our ranking pretty high then.
Yeah, yeah, and the good thing is, I think a lot of people, especially that live here, you kind of know which roads are gonna flood. And there may be a few surprises on some roads, but thank goodness, we didn't have any major accidents or injuries or whatever. I think people are pretty smart about it.
And just one little add-on, I can add, and I don't really need an answer, don't want an answer. But that lady that just spoke here on the drowning deal, I maybe read that different. I thought he was cleaning out a culvert on his pond or lake. He got sucked down and then they couldn't evacuate him for a day or two. So
That's correct.
that would not
Exactly
be
right.
under Eric's, under his job description to clean out ponds.
I mean,
That's the way I read it, and that's good enough for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne.
Travis Watkins did drown here in Brown County a few years ago. So we have had it happen during floods.
On Hoover Road. I've told that a few times here. That Hoover Road right there it collects water or something. You gotta realize that water's all coming down from just this side of the TC State. What does they call that, Kevin?
Mountain View State Park.
Mountain T State Park. We just had this conversation that water is all on the inside of that hill that comes down through there. And when he got washed off that bridge, I was telling him, I knew a guy that lives at the end of the road. And he said the neighbor come over because he heard somebody holler because he was trying to cross the bridge to get to grandma. And the guy said he heard something roaring and he had a flashlight and he supposedly, now I can't swear to this, I didn't see it, but it had to be high enough to take him off the bridge. He said the wall of water coming down through there was 15 to 20 foot high. He was looking at it and it just took him right off the bridge. So that road right there that washed that culvert out, there's a massive amount of water that comes down Hoover Road. And that's obvious.
Well, and that algorithm on Facebook, the way the feed comes across, you don't know if they post something 3 days prior, it comes the day of when there's a storm. I mean, my thing is, I'm all for educating citizens, maybe before a storm comes. Check your culverts, make sure they're clear before it happens, but in the middle of it, when the water is high.
So we should tell them not to go out there when the water is deep and clean their culvert, and they'll be smart enough to figure that out.
And the county don't leave driveway culverts, so that the homeowner.
There's actually, I mean, I'm not gonna get into it, but there's actually ordinances and there's stuff that's on our site and stuff. We're not responsible for homeowners' culverts. They pay for them, they maintain them. We help when we can. But when there's flooding and there's big stuff out and there's roads closed, we're not gonna go and clean a citizen's culvert out over top of a major issue.
I'm just.
People flip their lawnmowers over on mowing on the side of their road. Should we go mow for them? I mean, it's common sense. Let's have some common sense.
I'm not gonna tell a person to
Thank you.
check to see if their electricity's working by telling them to stick their finger in lights.
All right,
That's all.
so that kind of meeting, then motion,
Yeah, thank you.
motion adjourned.
Everybody done?
Anybody else?
I have one thing to say.
Okay.
I would like to thank the town of Nashville. I don't think they give enough praise. They actually allowed us to borrow some equipment after the storm cleanup. All right, so just another example of the agencies working together as it come forward.
Yeah, we appreciate that a bunch. It helped out a lot.
Okay, and the other thing that I basically want to mention in passing before we go in is the topic likely for the next one is the contract review that's going on with Mountain T State Park and Pumpkin Ridge Road. As far as that being something that's being reviewed and we'll be going over.
Thanks for that.
Just so the citizens know, if I got my thought, if I have my math right, I think the state's looking at spending something like $8 million on blacktop and a road back through there. Is that somewhere close there?
I think 6.5 million, I think.
Plus $1.5 million. That's a lot of money to blacktop a road back through there, but it will affect the people that live on that road.
Okay, that's all I had. So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Thank you.
Motion made and seconded. Meeting's closed.
Hey, guys,
Thank you.
turn your mics off. I have signed all this paperwork. I want you guys to sign it all. And Julia? Sandy? Who gets on